Hey guys, what's up? So very important phenomena of Indian monsoons. I'm here with a lesson on that. And geography, it's considered one of the most important topics, and they are very complex. They are very variable. They are very unpredictable. Nobody knows how they're going to behave. And it is said that entire Indian economy is a gamble of monsoon because our agriculture is ridiculously dependent on monsoon, and everything else is dependent on agriculture. Scientists have lots of theories and causes. Let's see them one by one. So first is the differential heating of continents and oceans. You might have heard about sea breeze and land breeze. Okay, so land breeze and sea breeze happens during daytime cycle, land breeze during nighttime cycle. Everybody has heard about these theories. Okay, so what happens is they say that monsoons are the extended land breeze and sea breeze happening on a very large scale, and they are produced by the differential heating of the continents and oceans. So during the summer season, the sun is at the Tropic of Cancer, right, in the northern hemisphere, and the huge land mass of Asia heats very quickly. So land heats quickly. Okay, just remember that as compared to water. So whenever heating will happen, there will be a strong low pressure area which will be developed over Asia, and low pressure develops as the heat will cause the air to warm up and rise above, obviously. But there is a relatively higher pressure over the Indian and Pacific Ocean. Why? Because the air above the water is cooler and denser. So the sea to land air breeze will move now, and as wind moves from high pressure to low pressure area, so everybody knows that that is a fact, and that it will be considered a land air, like sea to land air breeze. Now this air, since it is coming from seaside, it will obviously take a lot of moisture, and since it is warm, and whenever it collides with land barriers like mountain ranges and plateaus, they will ascend, and finally it will lead to condensation, which will result into the precipitation where you can see here. Okay, so this is it. Now let us talk about the other cycle of northern hemisphere. So we have winter southwest, and summer you have northeast trade. Now in northern hemisphere, in winter season, there is a high pressure over Asia. Okay, and compared to this, the waters in the Indian and Pacific oceans are warmer. Now water will take a lot of time in getting cooler than the land. So there is a very high pressure over Asian landmass, and there is a low pressure over Indian oceans. So this breeze is now from land to sea. Now this breeze will obviously be cold and dry, so no rain will happen unless it because when it touches sea, then it might happen, but it will be in sea only. Since it is coming from land to sea, no rain will happen over land. But obviously scientists do not agree with it because it fails to explain the variations in monsoons, and not only heating, but there are lots of other factors which affect the Indian monsoon. Now let us see the role of Tibetan plateau. So the plateau of Tibet is huge. Sometimes they ask the size 600 kilometer in the west and 1000 kilometer wide in the east, and the height of the plateau is about 4 kilometers. This is the average height. So it is a very big giant block of high ground which act as a barrier, and because it is so high that it will, like, it heats up very quickly, it receives a lot of sunlight as compared to other lower areas. So in June month, when the summer is at its peak, Tibetan plateau heats up, and it creates what is called as anticyclonic conditions. Now this will produce tropical easterly jet. Just remember this word. This is asked in the MCQs over India and the Arabian Sea. Now this will descend over the Indian Ocean near Mascarenas and Zanzibar islands of Tanzania. Okay, so Tanzania is in Africa. So Mascarene and Zanzibar islands of Tanzania. Now it will develop what is called as the Somali current. Okay, just remember this word. It causes the cooling of the air which is over the ocean, and this cool air has a lot of moisture in it. Now it will travel towards the heated Asian land mass. Okay, and the more the Tibet plateau heats up, the more intense will be the tropical easterly jet, more will be high pressure over the Indian Ocean, stronger will be the southwest monsoon. So this cool air which is traveling towards the heated Asian landmass, it is called as southwest monsoon. Now let us see the role of jet streams in it. So jet streams are westerly winds. They are very irregular, and they are concentrated bands of geostrophic wind, and they travel at an average speed of 300 to 400 km per hour. Okay, and jet streams, they are at a height of about 10 kilometers, 9 to 12 kilometers. Now geostrophic winds, they come about because pressure gradient force and Coriolis force come into balance after the air begins to move. Now a geostrophic wind will always flow parallel to the isobars. Now you can learn about these terms: isobars. What is isobar? Like, it joins the places which have similar pressure. Now in the winter season, the upper air westerly jet streams are bifurcated into two parts by the Himalayas branch. Okay, the goes to the south of Himalayas, while other goes north of the Tibetan plateau. So there are two branches. So thus in upper atmosphere, high pressure is developed, and this will cause the wind to descend in the northwest of India. This is northwest of India, and the cold air is heavy, that is why it descends, and it creates stable conditions. Also, these westerlies will cause periodic changes in general weather condition as they move from west to east across the Mediterranean Sea. Then they will encounter Afghanistan, then Pakistan, and northwest India, and they cause storm and thunder showers and a lot of weather disturbances. So you might have heard about them. Now we have the ENSO. So usually they ask what is ENSO. So ENSO full form is E is for L, N is for Nino, SO is for Southern Oscillation. So El Nino Southern Oscillation, it is a single climatic phenomena that has like three part. One is neutral, one is La Nina, and one is El Nino. So La Nina and El Nino are exact opposite phases, and they require certain changes to take place in both the ocean and the atmosphere before the event is declared. Now let us see what is El Nino. So whenever there is a warming of ocean surface or above average sea surface temperature, and where, not everywhere, and in central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. Okay, so you can see here this red is called as El Nino. So the low level surface winds which normally blow from east to west along the equator, and that is why they are called as easterly winds, they become very weak, and in some cases even start blowing from the other direction, from west to east, that is called as westerly winds. So now the second question is, what is El Nino? So it is the child of the Christ, and it is a warm ocean current appearing along the Peru coast. So as you can see, this is Peru, Chile. So these are the countries which are on the South America. And under normal condition, Peru is a cold water current, while over the western Pacific, Indonesia, eastern Australia, the ocean current is warm. Now El Nino will reverse this condition, meaning thereby warm conditions will be over the eastern Pacific. Eastern Pacific means Peru and Chile coast, and cool condition will happen over Australia and Indonesia, that is western Pacific, Australia, New Guinea, Indonesia. And whenever this warm ocean current El Nino is produced, precipitation in South America is high, while it is very low in Australia, Indonesia, and India. So when we talk about South America, there is a drastic increase in the risk of flooding on the western coast, while there is an increase in the risk of droughts on part of the eastern coast. And in eastern countries like India and Indonesia, here is Indonesia, here is India, roughly here, there is an increase in drought-like condition. Now listen to it very interestingly. Whenever the current is cool, which is usually the case, so Perry current will cause upwelling. Upwelling will bring the cold deep water. Now this cold deep water has a lot of nutrients in it, and it will act as a food for the planktons. Now fish will feed on these planktons, and these fish are called as Anchoveta, Anchoveta. Okay, so the fish farmers or fishermen, they will harvest them in great numbers and they will be very happy. But when El Nino comes, it ceases the upwelling, the cool nutrient rich water is replaced by the warm water, fish population goes down. So as you can see, decrease in fishing in Peru, as you can see here. And in Asian countries, there is a typical decrease in rice production also. And Australia, etc., you have a lot of droughts, and they can cause a decrease in the harvesting of other crops like wheat. Now further we discuss the role of La Nina here. So a cooling of the ocean surface or below average sea surface temperature. Here it was warming, now it is cooling. In the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. So over Indonesia, rainfall will increase, exact opposite is happening. While rainfall will decrease over central tropical Pacific Ocean. The normal easterly winds in El Nino, it was replaced by westerly winds. Here it becomes even stronger. And this phenomena occurs when the easterly trade winds get stronger. So La Nina will bring lot of monsoon to India, while El Nino will decrease the monsoon. Usually that is the case. So there is no cause effect as such, but that is usually the case. And this phenomena occurs when the easterly trade winds get stronger and they blow more warm water west, allowing cold water below the sea surface to push towards the top near the South American coast to replace the warm water. So this means that the easterly trade winds are the reason for causing La Nina. Now the low pressure zones will contribute to increased rainfall in Southeast Asian countries like India, and obviously our agricultural production will increase. So for example, in 2008, so this phenomena caused a significant drop in temperature of sea surface 2 degrees Celsius, and it led to increase in rainfall over Philippines, Indonesia and Malaysia. And obviously there will be increased commercial fishing, okay, for Peruvian fishermen. Now let us see El Nino versus La Nina. So here you can see These are the events which are describing both of them. Whenever there is red means increase in temperature, it is El Nino. When it is blue means decrease in temperature, it is La Nina. Finally, causes of ENSO, nobody is very clear about it. ENSO cycle is simply the oscillation, as you can see, but it is explained by something called as Walker circulation. So ENSO cycle is simply the oscillation caused by the way in which atmosphere and oceans are coupled by energy exchange, and ENSO is closely related with the Walker circulation. Now, Gilbert Walker was a person who discovered it in early 20th century, that there are two phases of Walker circulation. Now, Walker circulation is nothing but if you create a pressure gradient, so obviously the air will move from high pressure system over the Eastern Pacific Ocean and a low pressure system over Indonesia. So whenever the Walker circulation weakens or reverses, El Nino will happen, and it will cause the ocean surface to become warmer than average. Just remember, El Nino is warmer, La Nina is colder. If you can just remember one word. And in El Nino, upwelling of cold water occurs less or not at all. And then especially if the Walker circulation becomes very strong, it will cause La Nina. Okay, so Walker weak means El Nino, Walker strong means La Nina, and it will result in cooler ocean temperatures due to increased upwelling. So thank you for watching this lesson. I hope the monsoon concept is clear. Have an awesome day.